Good day to you all, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in to see the MRC BF1 League second round in Live for Speed, coming to you from KY3B. That's the Kyoto Grand Prix circuit with the booth chicane. My name is Travis Mehlinger, joined today by Adam on behalf of the Sim Broadcast team. Thanks for tuning in. Adam, good morning. Good morning to you. Good afternoon to me.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon. This looks like it's going to be a great one. We've got a very, very fast circuit here. And little chicane in the middle just to slow it down a little bit. Have you raced here before, Travis?
I have raced here before, but not with the booth chicane, apart from the celebration broadcast we did a few weeks ago. So mostly familiar, but never quite got that figured out. So this will be fun for us to see. Fun for me to see for the first time. You're familiar with it. This will be really good. This event is part of the MRC triple header weekend. Yesterday we had the MRC E Challenge. Some of you may have seen that. Also had FBM Saturday, and this is the third event in the triple header weekend, the BF1 race. Here, as you've seen, from Kyoto 3. There are prizes for the best results for the people competing in these events. You can go see more information about that on the MRC subforum on Live for Speed forums. In the background, cars are going around the circuit doing warm-ups. While they're doing that and getting ready for qualifying, we can go through some of our business first. Will be the calendar of events for the rest of the season. As we've said, this is the second event of 5 in the MRC BF1 League. We will have the third round on the 27th of December. That will be from FE4. That will be the Grand Prix of Jamaica. There will be a second Grand Prix of Japan from Kyoto National Circuit, KY2, on the 10th of January, 2021. And the BF1 League will conclude with the Grand Prix of England on Aston on AS5 on the 24th of January, 2021. As we've said, I'll repeat it one more time. We're at KY3B today. That's Kyoto 3 with the booth chicane. Adam, tell us a little bit about this circuit.
So yeah, as I was saying, you've got incredibly fast circuit. We've got 18 corners. Quite a lot of them are flat out, and if they're not flat out, you know, you're very near to flat out. Yeah, first corner is an interesting one. Might see some issues there during the race because it's a slowdown, but you're not going too slow into it, and quite often that can cause a little bit of a bottleneck. You know, it gets thinner. So the first lap, the start of the race, is going to be very interesting. Get further around the lap. Got the middle sector. It's beautiful bunch of flowing corners. It really works. And yeah, doing all of that in the BF1. It's one of the only real cars in LFS. One of, I think, 3 or 4. It's yeah, based off the BMW Sauber F1 car from 2006. Ludicrous amounts of downforce. That's why we can go so fast around this track. It's only weighs 530 kilograms, and I can guarantee you it is creating a much more downforce than that. 720 brake horsepower, not the most powerful of any of the F1 cars we've seen in the past, but certainly is powerful for its weight. One of the last generations of cars, F1 cars, to use traction control, so the drivers have got that to use, but no ABS. And be handing over you now to Travis, who will go through the driver standings.
Thank you, Adam. So, in the Drivers' Championship, if you tuned in last week, you would have seen that Alexi Lamerto, 3 weeks ago, not last week, Alexi Lamerto won the first race in the MRC BF1 League. He leads the standings with 26 points. He also took the point for the fastest lap in that event. In second place in the driver's standings, we have Sean Lee. In third, Christian Shanowski. Fourth, Ronnie Kronpush. And fifth, Wojciech Muka. In 6th, Yefim Jakub. And 7th, we have Zdravko Toponiak. 8th, Przemysław Fabian. And 9th, Devagaj. And rounding out the top 10 in the championship with 1 point, we've got Jari Katila. In the team's championship, Team Citus leads on the back of the points that Alexa Lamerto took in the first round. They have 26. Second, Race Green Autosports have 20 points, 6 points behind Team Citus. In third place in the team's championship is Air Attack Newsom Racing on 18 points. Fourth, GD Team with 15. Fragmaster in fifth in the team's championship with 6. Team Rock Racing, 6th. World Class Lions in 7th with 1 point, 25 points behind the leaders. For this event, we had enough interest that the MRC administrators had to do a pre-qualifying. So we'll run down the list of those drivers who pre-qualified. A number of drivers did not have to pre-qualify. Those in the top 10 in the championship are exempt from having to go through pre-qualifying and permitted to qualify for this event. Those who did pre-qualify to make it to qualifying today are Lawrence Doherty, Emre Khan, Pedro Picanco, Gabor, Ayub El-Anouni, Randamuru, Robertus Nagavicius, Kevin G, Heike Heitinen, Benoit Lemery, Dario Sudetch, Akshay, Dusan Maric, Gustas Bichetta, Jim Dalda, Josh D'Souza, Lucas Finko, Tatbadis Pukas, Tilo Falkenberg, our own Tilo Falkenberg, is driving today, made it through pre-qualifying. Malcolm Delary, Zdenek Jagash, Simon Schoon, Stepan Liazer, Alexander Gonzalez, Seamus Takavicius, Josh Gant, and the remaining 10 drivers that you've seen qualifying today were all, again, exempt from pre-qualifying. We'll be starting qualifying in just a moment. Adam, what are we looking for in qualifying today? How quick do you think they'll go? Who do you expect to see near the top?
Oh, near the top. I expect to see. Well, I'm not really sure. I think maybe Emre Khan looked pretty decent in practice. So did, of course, Alexia Lamerta, who won our last race. Yeah, Ronnie Krumpus, maybe not at the top, but he's very, very well, consistent. You know, if you're putting in a good result at each round, so I expect to see him near the top. Maybe Ayub El-Hanoui, he's always fast. Yeah, it's a very long and fast track. Any little mistake is gonna follow you all the way around. So we're watching a lot of drivers. You know, if they mess up at the start, they're gonna be possibly telepitting back to the pit lane to get another lap started.
All right, we are about ready to start qualifying. The first qualifiers will be car numbers 1 through 50. The session is starting now. We'll have cars on track in just a moment. Looks like Rando managed to be the first one in front of this train of cars running for pit lane. Nagavicius behind him, and another car in the background that I had trouble seeing. First car's going out of pit lane now. We'll have the first laps on the board in about 2 minutes' time.
These drivers will well, some of them are going full flat out on the outlap. I was expecting them to be taking it easy, keeping the tires in check.
I assume most of these guys will be out on R2s. Is that right, Adam?
I don't think so, because, I mean, maybe, but R2s, I would expect them to burn up a bit by the end of the lap. So R3s all the way, I think. A bit like F1, where you see the Mercedes cars going for mediums. So yeah, we got one driver in on the R2s. taking it very easy on the outlap just to not burn those tires up. They might even be getting colder than what he started with, just so he doesn't burn them out by the end of his hot lap. Got to be very careful with those tires.
Yeah, there is an obvious difference in strategy here, because as you said, his numbers going around quite slowly on those softer tires. Rando had gone around quite quickly, but now he has slowed it down a lot going into the final hairpin. I think that's partly to make a gap, but he slowed down pretty early, so maybe trying to get some of the temperature out of the tires to go for a hot lap here.
I mean, our championship leader, Alexei Lamerto, on the R3s went flat out on the outlap, and he's already into sector 2.
So Rando has just crossed the line, and now Number is coming across to start his lap. I think we know him to be pretty quick. Is that is that what you would say, Adam?
I would indeed say that. I'm not sure if I've seen him drive the BF1, but certainly in the Fox or in the FBM, he's very, very fast.
So we see him coming by another car on an outlap that was Pukish that he went sailing past. So far, this looks pretty tidy. Not, it doesn't look to be going as quickly as some of the guys were doing in the warm-up earlier, but this is smooth, if nothing else.
Yeah, well, he certainly has to keep it smooth to not burn those tires. He's not. He's almost a half a second down on Alexei Lamerto's first split time, so not getting that close to the man to beat.
And speaking of Lamerto, he's about to come across the line for the first time with a pretty good lap, 45.75. That might be better than the benchmark we saw in the warm-up. I didn't make note of it, but I know in the 45s is awfully quick. Got Rando coming through into the hairpin now. Pretty smooth out of there. Nice and easy in the throttle. Didn't hear him get into the traction control. Did a beautiful cut of the second part of that final chicane. Now he comes around, and we'll see how he does.
Gets himself perfectly in between the other couple drivers we got up there. A whole 8/10 behind our leader, though. Although that could be seen as a decent time, seeing as Lamerto has had such a dominant race last time out.
He did, and I don't think that's a bad lap. 8/10. This is an awfully long circuit, so 8/10 off, not too bad. While that was happening, Number slotted into P3. That is at Rando in between Lamerto and Number. Number's back another 4/10 from Rando.
Yeah, I do have a feeling that Number will switch to a different setup, switch to the R3s for his next lap, because the amount of extra time he's spent going around slowly is, it'll limit the amount of laps he gets in the session. So you see Data Phi coming around the oval. Yeah, we've got a nice bank in there. Hopefully tires aren't an issue like they were at Indianapolis in 2005.
Ooh, I was actually there for that event, and that was terrible.
Yeah, hopefully we have a few more than 6 cars on the track this time around. Nice and wide at the hairpin there, but gets it in for a good exit. Yeah, the acceleration on these cars is crazy. He's already up to 300 kilometers an hour, and he's not even halfway down the straight.
Good. Yaratilla out on track now, just going through the first turns. He's coming through these sweeping bends now and into this first slow corner. Oh, a little bit wide there over the curb.
I believe Yari Katila is on an outlap, Travis.
It looked like he was going awfully hard. That might be my mistake. I just missed him.
I think it's going incredibly fast down the straights, but when it gets to a corner, taking it nice and easy.
Yeah, he came through so quick. He came through so quick and then was on the brakes into turn one. I also, he has, if you look at the hubs on the wheels on his cars, I had forgotten that one thing that is not simulated in Live for Speed is the glow of the brakes, and they appear with the paint job that he has on his car that they were glowing. So I thought he was on an awfully quick lap.
As he gets in the way of Rando, was Rando on a lap? The line in that corner is a bit peculiar. Some drivers like to take it wide, so we might see Yari Katila being penalised for that.
I feel like he was wide enough of the apex that that there was room down there, but like you said, the line through the corner varies a little bit. So yeah, hopefully nothing bad befalls Yari for that. But I'm sure the stewards probably have a look. There's really no reason for cars to get together on in qualifying when there's so much space on this circuit.
Lamerto's still got his 8/10 lead on the timesheet there. It's quite crazy gap.
It was an 8 cents lead. While we were talking about Yari coming together with another car, Doherty managed to slide into P2, 0.69, just shy of 7/10 off the lead, putting Emre Khan down to third. Rando in fourth, number in fifth right now. Pukish is now going around on a fast lap. Should be coming around to the hairpin now. Here he is, hard on the brakes.
Locks up a bit, runs wide. That corner, it's not a massive deal if you run wide just because of the nature of it. You can maybe get on the power a bit early, although he's had a twitch. He's gone into the wall. That was an interesting one.
Strange place to lose control of the car, because usually you'd straight line the car there and just put the throttle down and the traction control takes care of the rest.
Yeah, even if you really nail the throttle, of course the car will be struggling with the traction control, but you know, when you do nail the throttle, the traction control is going to be responding much harder than if you're half on, half off, so it's an interesting one. Our second place driver in the moment, Doherty, he's going to be going around to start a lap. He's another one that's opted for R2s with a slow out lap. Although if I was him, I'd be worried about my tyres because they're already looking, you know, reasonably high temperature for the start of a lap.
Well, we'll follow along with him here and see how he does on this lap. Hard on the brakes now into this slow right, third gear right-hander. A little bit wide, scrubbing the tires. Doesn't straight line the curb there like a lot of drivers do. Lift out of the throttle into this wide right-hander. Yeah, the tires are really going for him, and the car's sliding really badly. He may have to abort this lap.
Yeah, it looks like he's been told to spectate anyway. Maybe he just missed the timing. 10 minutes already up, potentially. So yeah, that's the first 12. I think we've got another 12 coming up in a couple minutes' time as we follow Doherty around. We've got a nice camera angle of his helmet. But back on.
Yeah, Yari Katila just snuck in with quite a slow lap, 2:02. I think that'll be outside the benchmark and may have to appeal to the stewards to be allowed to grid.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah, I don't either. Emre Khan just finished the lap. Pukas coming through as well. Yeah, and Pukas actually, that was an out lap. Did not get across the line before he needed to start his flying lap. He does not set a qualifying time, so if he starts, it will be at the steward's discretion.
So, the next set of drivers are out now. We've got another interesting list here. Got Sean Lee in this half the field, who was second place last time around. Pretty much the only person who even got near to Alexei Liberto last race. So this will be interesting to see what he can do.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do during this round because he was as you said, he was the only one who got close in the first round. Also drove a very consistent race, no excitement, no drama, did really well, and he was pretty quick. Not quite as quick as Alexei Liberto, but set a pretty good pace. In this group, we've also got Lucas Finko, Tilo Falkenberg. Our own Tilo Falkenberg is out there. He pre-qualified today. And some other familiar names. Sanoski, we talked about a lot in the last raid, is out there too. And Rony Kronpush is out there. So we got some word from Race Troll that the cars that were unable to qualify in Group 1 will be able to start from the back of the grid, even though they've not set times. I assume that means that Jari Katila would be able to start. Assuming this still depends on stewards' discretion. If they allow them to start, it will be at the back of the grid. So we'll look for more information there.
Yeah, I mean, it is really up to the stewards. I mean, Jari Katila is a familiar name. I don't think he'd be causing that much trouble letting him start. Same with Pukis. But I really do wonder what the decision they'll make there. Because last time we had a fairly incident-packed race, let's say, and they do want to tighten up the rules a wee bit.
They do. Got our first car coming across the line for a flying lap right now. This is Dario Sudetch.
Quite an interesting livery he's got into the first corner. Fourth gear corner, you scrub off about 100 kilometers an hour, but it's still very fast. You've got to be tentative on the opening lap.
Behind him, we've got Sanoski coming through, who was quick in the last round. Quick, but a bit unpredictable in the last round. Had a few incidents, tangled with a couple cars, but managed to finish pretty well and put on a show for us. He passed a few cars. We had a lot of fun watching him last weekend. Sorry, not last weekend. 3 weeks ago. I've made this mistake again.
Yeah, quite a peculiar gap between the races. I think we've got another 2 weeks to the next one, but
I thought it was interesting that it coincided with week 13 in the simulator that we do not talk about on our channel. I don't know if that was deliberate or not, but it was very convenient for me. Lucas Finko coming around in that line as well. Hard to say how quick he is, but he looks really tidy. Awfully quick. Through this 180-degree left-hander, more than 180-degree left-hander. He had the throttle down all the way through, nice and smooth. It is really fun to watch the cars go through there with the downforce working at maximum, the kart full throttle in top gear.
But as soon as we get into the race and we reach that corner, none of the cars are going to get anywhere near to each other because of how it relies on downforce.
Yep.
As we see Josh Gant running wide at the booth chicane there. But he's back on the power.
Okay, we got Sudetch came across the line to do a 48.01, so not anywhere near the top of the order. Behind him, Luke Finko coming across the line with a 49.05, spectates back to the pits. And now Josh
Gant across the line, quite a slow one, 51.7.
Tilo crosses with a 59.22.
148. Got a lot of drivers 147, 148. A couple seconds off of Lamerto. But it'll be a very interesting race in the mid-pack.
It will. While we wait for some more cars to come around, we've learned that the 107% rule only applied to pre-qualifying. It will still be stewards' discretion to fill the grid with cars that didn't set a time, but the 107% benchmark does not apply during this qualifying session here.
ATN, beautiful exit onto the final straight. Technically, this is still a corner, but it's flat out in the F1 cars, as he's starting a lap now. He's a driver that's going for the R3s, so he can set a pretty flat out lap. Although the tyres are not as soft and may not be as grippy in the compound.
Even without the extra grip of the R2s, it does look like the car is working really well. He was very clean through the first chicane, used a lot of the curb, but the car looked pretty stable. A little slide there coming out of that corner and ends up wide of the curb, so he'll scrub off some time.
Yeah, it's incredibly hard to get the power down there. Pretty good through that second corner, but it's not a good split. He's about a second down. That little slide must have really cost him.
Very kind of Octay dutifully out of the way there.
Yep, nice and flat out through turn 9.
Shall we refer to that corner as 130R because it was clearly inspired by the old 130R. Not so much a fearsome corner anymore as it was 25 or 30 years ago, but
yeah, it's
has
like
to be done a bit
130R.
tentatively for these guys.
130R with a murderous curb on the inside.
Yes. The stay away curb.
It's that corner, isn't it?
It really is. We've got Sanowski coming across the line now to start a flying lap. We expect something pretty quick from him. And then a little bit further back, Dario Sudetch starting another flying lap as well.
As Etienne's coming round the final corner. His first sector wasn't so good, but he's kept it tidy around the rest of the lap. It's a 148.9. Not the best we've seen. Slots into 13th.
Yeah, it seems like, I think you're right, that he lost a lot of that time early on in the lap because he was pretty smooth the rest of the way through the lap. Sanowski slotted into P2 earlier, the only other driver in the 45s, a little more than 2/10 off the benchmark by Alexi Lamerto, and he's out on another flying lap right now. Sean Lee also started a flying lap.
It's interesting to note that Sanowski's decided to go on to the R2s, whereas Lamerto was on the R3s, so interesting to see the difference there. Setting good split times, but this is when he'll suffer on the R2s near the end of the lap. His tyres are already a bit too hot, or at least much hotter than he would have wanted. The traction control can help him round, but he'll still have understeer, as we see him putting a lot of steering lock into that final hairpin. He's well on the power though, coming around this final corner, keeping it tight. So we see the drivers all the way to the wall to get any little extra time gain. That didn't beat his previous time, no improvement there. As Sean Lee is coming round the final corner, he's on a decent lap as well, but his tyres are red hot. Exit maybe wasn't as good as he would have hoped for. He improves, slots himself ahead a number there. That was a good improvement. That was about half a second, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, he gained an awful lot of time, and closer to where we expect him to be, near the front. We're now watching our own Thilo Falkenberg go around. He just went through that very fast left-hander, down on the apron before he comes through the oval.
Yeah, his tyres are red hot. So surprised he's not come into pit at all. I guess just getting any little extra practice in as possible.
Yeah, he has. We weren't watching him go around. Is he doing another flying lap on older tires, or has he just cooked them on his? Okay.
He's currently listening to us at the moment. He's tuned into our commentary feed. So I hope you didn't get a bit spooked there.
He went out pretty wide. Notice the driver stayed pretty tight coming out of the last corner and down to the wall pretty quickly. He went a little bit wider, but a 50.3, not too bad. It'll be down near the back. Didn't improve, but pretty close to his earlier time, so he's consistent. And nowhere near the bottom. So well done to him.
Yeah, apparently did that all on full fuel, so no wonder he's a bit slower. I mean, with Tilo, it's always focusing on the race, very consistent. You can always expect him to put in lap after lap.
And I should say I disparaged his pace a little bit, but now that I know he was on full fuel, I think that's respectable to going around to doing 50s on a full fuel load, and that's not half bad.
Indeed.
I was about to say that we had Mew coming around to finish a lap, but he pulls into the pits.
Yeah. Well, one
maybe
thing
practicing
to note
a pit entry.
is the pit entry is a little chicane in the pit entry, so we'll see drivers taking as many liberties through there as possible. Cutting the grass.
Oh, Sanowski was finishing a lap, but he got spectated. Akshay's going around. I imagine he'll get spectated as well. He's not on a flying lap. So we'll take a look at the final order here, at least cars that have qualified in the session. Alexi Lamerto at the top with the best lap of 45.7, 1 minute 45.75. The only other driver in the 45s, just inside the 45s behind him, we got Sanowski on a 45.99. Then Emre Khan, Doherty, Rando, Sean Lee comes in the sixth position, a little less than a second behind pole position. Dunbar in seventh, Ayub in eighth, Data Phi in ninth, Dario Sudetch in 10th, Ronan Kronbusch 11th, Mew 12th, Nagavicius 13th, 14th, Akshay, who we see coming through the pits right now. Etienne in 15th, Lucas Finko 16th, Shagash 17th, Kokam in 18th, our own Tilo Falkenberg listening in, a respectable 19th on a full fuel load. Simjintas 20th, Josh Gant 21st, and Yarik Tilla in 22nd, and we'll await a ruling on a few drivers who did not set times during the qualifying session.
So yeah, pretty similar grid to last week, if I'm not wrong. Like Sean Lee was 3 weeks ago, last race. We're gonna keep making that error, aren't we, Travis?
We probably are. We do have just saw a couple drivers join the session. I saw Pedro Pacanco and one other join. I missed the name, so I think we do have some more drivers trickling in who missed qualifying. I think we'll take a moment and see if we can get some information from the stewards to see who will be starting, who will be forming up the final grid for this event.
Much like last week, Sean Lee, his qualifying maybe wasn't the best, still in the top 10. Be interesting to see if he fights his way through the field.
While we're waiting to get the race session organized, a friendly reminder, we talked about this at the top of the broadcast, and we'll talk about it again. This is the third event in the MRC triple header weekend. We had the E Challenge yesterday on a custom track meant to look like the New York E Pre-Circuit. Also had FBM Saturday yesterday, and today, as you can see, as we're watching right now, the BF1 series, second round of the BF1 series here at KY3. Again, there are prizes for the drivers who post the best results in this triple header. There's more information about that on the MRC subforum. We also have the TBO Challenge, a series by New Dimension Racing. That'll be on the 20th of December at 14 hours 30 UTC. That'll be 6 hours of Aston North. You can join solo if you like, or you can join with a team. That will be presented by us, Sim Broadcast. Again, 20th December, 14 hours, 30 UTC. You can see more information on the NDR subforum on Live for Speed forums.
Yeah, no matter what the championship beforehand, those post-season endurance races are always a bit of fun. City League has done a couple of them. Always a good race there.
I'm ashamed to say that I never participated in City Liga. I was out of the Live for Speed life for a while, but I do think of them fondly when you guys talk about them. I'm sorry I missed all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I only participated in the last series. Managed to keep TC Racing off of the top step of the teams championship with a little makeshift team that me, Botsy, and Troy made up. Team Bat. Still looking back at that quite fondly.
While we're waiting, take another look at the Drivers' Championship. We have Alexi Limerto at the top of the Drivers' Championship, driving for Team Citus. 26 points. He got 25 points for the win 3 weeks ago. Thank you, Adam. And the point for the fastest lap. Sean Lee in second place in the championship with 18. Next is Christian Znoski, then Ronnie Krumpush in fourth, Wojciech Muka in fifth. Jefin Jakob in sixth, Dravka Patoniak in seventh, Przemysław Pabian in eighth, David Gudge ninth, and rounding out the top 10 in the championship. After the first round, we've got Yari Katila. And then the team's points. Team Citus in the lead with 26 points from Alexa Limerto. Second is Race Green Autosports, followed by Air Attack Newsroom Racing. GD Team in fourth. Fragmaster. We got the number out here today, driving for Fragmaster. In fifth position, Team Rock Racing, the hosts of the TRR Championship. If you've seen that on the Sim Broadcast channel, those guys are in sixth place. World Class Alliance in seventh, on the point from Yarkatilla 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, interesting to see that we've only got one race green driver here today. We had a couple last week, but I don't think Jefin Jakob is racing.
I don't believe he is. I have not seen him today. Had a couple of drivers pop in after qualifying, but I have not seen him. He is not among them.
Yeah, we've got a few new faces from last week. People who weren't racing last week but are this week, and we've got a few people missing, which is interesting.
Getting close to forming up the grid. We can have one more look at the circuit. Adam, tell us about the most interesting parts of KY3.
Oh, interesting parts. Well, that corner we were talking about, turn 9, it's very you know, if you're following someone, you've got to be very careful not to go a bit tight or run a bit wide, because if you do make any little mistake there, you will be, well, into the barrier. Your race will be over, essentially.
Do we expect everyone will take it easy through their first time through, or should we anticipate carnage?
Well, I hope people take it easy, but you know, it's the first lap. There's always some people trying to take advantage there. Boothie chicane, notable, turn 13. Normally that's a much faster, almost flat out little chicane, but there's a little bit of layout added there, and named after Boothie, former, well, technically still an LFS member, but he's not been in the community for a few years now.
I was around for the inauguration of the Boothie chicane way back in the day. I was here for that, and I'm glad that once layouts were introduced to Live for Speed, I'm glad somebody finally did that, because that chicane was absolutely terrifying without anything there to slow the cars down.
Yeah, I can't imagine it would be very fun in the F1 cars going through there at 200 miles an hour.
Now, I remember there was another team in Live for Speed, Dark Side Racing. I ran around with those guys for a while, and we did an event there, and it was flat out through that chicane without any layout, and there were a lot of casualties during the event that we did without the booth chicane.
So, formation lap about to start. Wonder if we've got any drivers starting on R4s. We do indeed. 4th, 5th and 6th are all starting on R3s. On R4s, sorry. Top 3 starting on R3s.
Adam, what do we expect for pit strategy today? Obviously, some drivers on R3s, like you just mentioned, perhaps a few on R4s. What can these guys do on R3s or what will they have to do differently from the guys who are running on R4s?
Well, I mean, it's the basics really. That the tires, the R3s will get hotter. They will, they'll degrade sooner. So we'll be seeing them come in the pits a bit earlier. And yeah, fuel probably going to be a 3-stop, because if you do load the fuel up fully, the car will feel a bit lethargic through the fast corners, and you'll really feel that in lap times. So it's probably worth doing an extra pit stop.
Do you think anyone would even attempt R2s, or are those absolutely out for the race?
Well, it looks to me like FM's number has maybe made a mistake and has left his qualifying setup on or something like that, because he's currently out on R2s, which is just crazy in my opinion.
Even if
he was going for a very quick first stint, I'd be worried about those tires already overheating by the end of the first lap, which is, 1 lap isn't much of a stint.
No, it's really not. We've got Alexei Lemerto coming through the final corner now to form up the grid. See a little bit of tire warming coming on the grid now. Alexei doing burnouts, probably trying to put as much heat as possible in those tires for the start and get a strong getaway from pole position on the grid.
Yeah, he's starting first, so he'll be waiting a long time. His tires will be cooling down a lot before we're ready to go.
Yeah, last car's just now coming through the final chicane.
Yeah, we've got Josh Gant at the rear of the field.
I do see, it looks like Peter Picanco was allowed to take part, but I can't see where he is on the grid. Cars at the back forming up very slowly.
Yeah, Pedro Picanco, interesting how he's in front of Sim Jintas and Josh Gant, who both set a qualifying lap. But maybe it's due to their championship position or something like that, even though I don't believe Pedro Picanco scored any points. So maybe a bit of miscommunication there.
All right, watching the front of the grid now, ready for the event to start, waiting for the lights to come up. The lights are on. Everyone at full throttle, and lights are green. Alexei Lemerto takes off from pole position, gets a good start, but Sanoski comes alongside on the left, passes him on the left before the first corner, easily clears him. Lemerto took a look at the inside and nearly got into the back of him, collected him a little bit wide, squarely at the rear end of the car, coming over the curb. Looks like most everyone cleanly through the first couple corners. The last car is just coming through the first chicane now. There's a spin coming out of that wide sweeping left-hander.
Lemerto already down to third. This is a big shock from the one of our last race. So Emery Can's up to P2. Sean Lee with a beautiful start from 6th to 4th. Although his R4s that he was sitting on the grid for ages with are still freezing cold at the front.
Oh, further back, Etienne just got just got wheel onto the curb, driving too wide through those corners. He is off in the gravel and appears to be stopped.
He's got himself going again, but he'll have very dirty tires and he'll have lost a lot of time. Have to gain through all those positions again.
It looked like he avoided any contact and didn't get it into the wall. While all that was happening, we learned Sim Jinbas is now out of the race. Didn't see what happened. We'll see if we can find some more information about there. As the top three come through the booth, chicane cleanly. Sinoski leaving the race. Imbercon behind him and Alexa Lamerto. Three of them running line astern into the hairpin for the first time. Sinoski took a beautiful line through there. Got the car slowed down perfectly and over the curb. Three of them straight through the final chicane.
I'll tell you, there's already a massive gap between, well, third and fourth and fifth and sixth. As we've got Rando, he's already lost the position to Roney. And we've got Ayub and Doherty really with an overspeed here. Not quite close enough into the first corner.
Yeah, this is nip and tuck. They're running awfully close together, but they're all using discretion, driving wisely here. It's early in the race, and they get through cleanly.
You can almost hear the patience of the drivers because of the aero drop. They can't get on throttle as early as they would want to. Datafy up the inside of Lucas Finko. Then we've got Pukas and Mue probably correct to give the position there, but he's run wide due to the aero drop.
Yeah, Yari thought about poking the nose in there and then thought better of it, but ends up, because he chose not to go for it, he has Nagavicius right behind him now. The Nagavicius looks like he's falling back the other way. Oh, Yari, will he try to make a pass through here into this corner? He's alongside. Touches the curb, which is really dangerous, but made that stick. That is a brave move. On board with Nagavicius now. Oh, he's really tight behind Mew. Just about got into his rear wing, but
safety
popped out.
Car starting. Oh, Nagavicius has not realised we've got a virtual safety car, and he's gone way too fast there. And we've got Sinotsky around as well.
He narrowly avoided hitting Yari Katila. It was good that he avoided Yari Katila and did the damage to himself rather than someone else without realizing there was a safety car.
What happened to Sinotsky? He was in the lead and he's all the way down to 9th. So yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of damage to the front end of that car. He spun, learned he spun, and also collected number, so he's gone back. It was a brief safety car. They've gone green again. Not sure what's happened here because they called a safety car. That wasn't a virtual safety car.
No, it was a
unless I'm
virtual
mistaken.
safety car, yeah. But that's really been a big benefit for Lamerta as he's back into his pole position there. And Roney, another big gainer. So brilliant pass on to Sean Lee down that straight.
Sean Lee thought about doing the cutback, but didn't quite have the overspeed to get inside him there. For the back, looks like Yari got it wrong in turn 1. Didn't get into anybody. He's keeping it tight on the grass to stay out of the way. A couple cars go by.
It's really interesting to note Roney is on R2s, and they are through the roof on temperature, but I expect we'll see him on the 2-stop if he's doing that. Put 2 heavy fuel loads in.
I assume you mean 3-stop.
Roney with a big lock-up into the Boothie chicane. That'll be the heat of his tyres affecting him. So
Sean Lee should get him pretty easily here. Or maybe not. Thought better of it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't go for it there.
That little turn 14, 15 is very hard. Doherty and Pacanco into each other. Pacanco is off. Pedro started near the back and he made his way through the grid, but little bit of contact there that did look like his fault as sent him down.
He just rejoined safely, but Nagavicius had to take a evasive action to go inside and just touch the grass to get by Pikanko. Up at the front is... Go ahead,
up to P6, but in a good battle with Ayub. Rando up ahead of him. He's on R4s, and they are incredibly cold, I believe. I mean, they'll last for a while, but running around on cold tires is not going to be, you're not going to be in the fastest car there.
What can they do to get heat into the R4s? Obviously, he's been going around at racing speed for 3-4 laps now, but the tires are still cold. Can he do anything, work the steering wheel to try to get more heat in the tires? Or is that just going to slow him down?
It really is working the steering wheel, putting a little bit more steering lock in, you know, being more aggressive on your turning, and getting on the power earlier. Even with traction control, you know, your car will be a bit more floaty. You can get the rear out a little bit more. Really, just pushing the car a bit harder will give you heat. And
is it a question of
Roney wide at the booth chicane again? Massive lockup. If he doesn't come into the pits on this lap, I would be very surprised.
Yeah, the tires are already cooked. Surely. Oh, it's a good move by Doherty.
Oh, beautiful move around the outside of
side by side through the chicane and nearly collected each other there. Ronnie's going to benefit, though his tires are still... Oh, Ronnie pops into the pits behind this.
As we expected. Nailing the pit entry, as I was saying, it's a tricky one. But he will lose a lot of time in the pit lane. It's a fast straight, and it's a long pit lane.
Up ahead of him, Ayub went a little bit wide through the chicane, and Doherty cut it pretty aggressively, but wasn't able to gain.
As we got Datify and his bright orange livery there. Oh, squeezing out the inside, bit of contact. I would have to say that contact was Datify's fault. He went for a gap that was closing, obviously. And
yeah, he'll really struggle to get the car around here without the downforce working, following the other car. All right, we'll take a break from the excitement for just a second. We'll look at the top of the order after 5 laps. We've got Alexi Lamerto out front with a pretty clear lead, joined by Emmer Khan. The two of them far ahead of Sean Lee in 3rd place. Rando running 4th. Ayub and Doherty fighting over 4th and 5th. Dario Sudetch running a relatively quiet race behind them. Datify next, and then Lucas Vinko and Nagavicius rounding out the top 10. We've got Datify side by side with Kokam. Kokam's going to have the inside line into the chicane. We'll see who's braver on the brakes. Datify, awfully brave on the brakes, manages to hold it on the outside. That was an impressive defense.
If that were me, I probably would have got off the front of Kokam there. It would have been my corner, but Datify very respectful.
Yeah, Datify's driving very defensively, but perfectly fairly.
Yeah, if he had a good exit, Kokam could have had Datify back there, but he was really slow on the power. Whether that was traction control holding him back, or...
And Datify also did a very nice defensive line into the hairpin, went in a little bit shallow, and then managed to hold the inside line. Really good driving from him. Though he goes a little bit wide through the first chicane.
So yeah, Finko not quite in the draft range of Kokam, but looks like he may be affected in this second split as well. As we just heard, Atien's dropped out the race, lost connection there. Finko with a brilliant alternative line there to get himself out of the draft.
Got another car in the pits, Redbot. I didn't see what tires he started on, Adam. It might be fair to guess R2s if he's in this early, or he may just be going on an alternate strategy.
His teammate Roney did start on the R2s, so it might be the race screen strategy. Low fuel at the start. And, so we got Lucas Finko caught out by the aerodrop, and he's lost 2 places to both Pedro and Najvicius.
Nagavicius got past him, and they're now running side by side. Nagavicius alongside Pedro Picanco.
Pedro making
Nagavicius
2 moves in one. He's a bit wide at the Boothie chicane, decides to cut the course there. Yeah, lost both the places he had gained there.
Yeah, Finko nearly chopped him too. They got very, very close to each other coming through those sweeping corners. Finko a little late on the brakes, but manages to gather it up.
Kocom's making a bit of a truly train there. Really good at holding him up, but it looks like Najvicius is just going to get him into the first corner.
Passed him easily, actually. See if Kocom can make another move to come back at him. He has a look, but no, thinks better of it. Both of them, a lot of drivers are giving that first curb in the right-hander in turn 1 a lot of respect, Adam.
As
Kocom goes off the grass.
Onto the grass. Lucas Finko is going to try and get him, but again, he's got a good defensive line going into that corner, but it didn't work that time around.
Yeah, it was a good move by Finko, and Picanco also takes advantage. Oh, they're all good. Can they run side by side through here? Looks like they're going to try. Picanco managed to get him.
Beautiful move by Pedro. Beautiful.
And behind them, Kocom obviously struggling on the tires right now. He slid several times through those sweeping corners, and now he has lost the train.
Yeah. Pedro, after his pretty naff start, he's putting in some great sector times, great lap times, trying to catch up to the front. I wonder where he'll end up by the end of the race.
Further up, Rando has caught Sean Lee and is running right behind him in a train of 2 or 3 cars. Ayub has caught them as well. And not far behind them is Doherty. So we've got a 3-4 car fight for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Rando might just have the slipstream here. We'll see if he can make something happen coming down into turn 1 or not. Looks like he's a little bit too far back. The cars are getting a bit strung out now.
If he can nail this chicane, though, he'll be right in Sean Lee's draft. And as Sean Lee gets a little slide on, Ayub not quite in the draft range either, so it's status quo for now.
That was another big slide from Sean Lee there. Just managed to catch the rear of the car, but ended up driving it to the inside of the circuit.
Yeah, it's all bunching up at the wrong point for these drivers because they can't make any moves through here. As we see Ayub with a very good alternative line there, just to try and get himself out of the draft.
Yeah, Rando had a big slide, but came back across Ayub and cut the air off the front wing, so Ayub wasn't able to continue his charge. But he is driving quite well in the aerodynamic disturbance of the cars ahead. Sean Lee with a pretty obvious lift of that corner and goes really wide coming onto the oval.
With a nice exit onto the oval. I'm not sure if he's still not in the draft range. But this last sector is where they'll be bunching up and getting close to each other.
Behind these guys, Doherty is just lurking, and he's awfully good on the brakes there. Looks like he may have gained a little bit of time through the chicane. He has. I feel like he'll be looking for these guys to get a little bit aggressive, a little bit racy, and then pounce.
All of these guys on R4s, but thought Sean Lee was gonna get overtaken there, but he seems to have got lucky. But everyone will close up to each other in the draft, or maybe not. No one's close enough.
It seems like they were pretty tight through the chicane where the arrow doesn't matter as much. They're working with mechanical grip, but then it seems like they're struggling to put the power down. Maybe the car slides a little bit.
Here on Ayub.
Yeah, you got a great run through there.
And
easily done, well before the corner.
Little extra slipstream from Rando, make sure he's got it. Yeah, that was pretty perfect for Doherty because he makes the move and he's lost a little bit of time to the cars in front, but that means he doesn't have to suffer in the aero drop. Sean Lee's front tyres are dragging all the way round that turn 10, turn 11 corner there, so...
They are, and I could actually see, looks like he's struggling a little bit. Oh, Ayub in the back. We'll leave Sean Lee for a second because Ayub is trying to come around Doherty. They are side by side. Doherty takes the inside line and defends it.
Ayub with the cutback.
Squeezes him onto the curb. And Ayub manages to make it stick and gets past him. Really good driving from both of these guys. Oh, Doherty takes a really, really tight line into the hairpin, hard on the brakes.
As in front of them, Rando is firmly in Sean Lee's draft. Will this finally be? Oh, he's really on the edge. I thought he was in the draft, but
just not quite close enough.
And Rando really can't get close there with the aero drop, and his tires are they're stone cold.
Yeah, the aero makes it really, really difficult. Sean Lee was also incredibly late on the brakes there. So the aerodynamic disturbance plus Sean Lee being heroically late on the brakes means they string it out once again. See if they close this back up. It's really, really hard for these guys to follow one another through these sweeping turns, though. Ayub is making it work. He is now right under Rando's rear wing.
Yeah,
it's been fun to watch him through there because whereas everyone else is struggling with the aero, he's making the car stick.
Yeah, I wonder if he's got a bit more downforce on that setup. It would definitely make sense if he's doing that well, but because it does seem like he is losing out on the straights a little bit. They've gapped Doherty again. It's all strung out a bit more. Sean Lee's obviously found a bit more pace.
Well, now these guys have settled down for a moment, I say, just as Ayub gets late on the brakes and takes as much curb as he can through there. He's now right under Rando's wing again, though he loses a little bit coming through these sweeping corners. See if he can get a good exit out of the chicane here.
Yeah, the
really nice line
wheel he put on the grass gave him dirty tires, so he wasn't as fast through that final part of the lap.
So as I was about to say, before Ayub gave us a little bit of excitement there, we'll run down the order one more time. Alexi Lamerto leads, as he did 3 weeks ago, with a pretty good margin over Emmerkhan, about 5 seconds out front in the lead, Emmerkhan in second. Sean Lee, at the front of this battle that we've been watching, is in third place, Rendo in fourth. Ayub in fifth, and Doherty behind. Ayub has lost a little bit of time after looking a bit racy earlier. In seventh, we've got Dario Sudetch, Data Phi in eighth, Pedro Picanco in ninth, and rounding out the top 10, we have Nagavicius.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've only had a couple pit stops. I think Roney and Sinochki. As I say that, we've got Chagas in the pits. Got a nice martini livery on there.
I anticipate we should start seeing a lot more pit stops. If we've got guys doing 3 stops, they should be coming in now. I say, as we've got another one coming down. My mistake, I was looking at the map. It was not a slow car coming down pit lane.
Yeah, it looks like we might be getting some 2 stops. We originally thought people were going to go for the 3 stop, but if people think they can make the full fuel load work through the sweepers, then they will definitely try that, because less time spent down pit lane is less time going slow.
I wonder if Chagas took some repairs because he had an awfully long stop. Looking back to Sean Lee, these cars are now running close together once again. Line astern through the final chicane, and now into the final corner. Sean Lee got a great exit.
Rando into the pits. Nice entrance there. So yeah, he can probably do 1 full stop here, and then another in about 19 laps time, and he'll make it to the end. But that's strung out the order in the battle for third.
It has. We'll see. I'm curious to see how close their strategies are. If we see those guys coming in, if those guys come in the next few laps, or if they're going to go on alternate strategies and try to undercut or overcut and give each other find some space on
we've
track
got,
to do quick laps.
Sudetch and Tilo in the pits as well.
Brando comes out of the pits.
Gets them both.
Brando came out of the pits, is now behind Jarek Tilla, who I don't believe has stopped yet.
So yeah, Roney, the early pit stop seems to have lost a bit of time because of that. Rando is got quite far ahead of him now. That's maybe a 10-second gap. And yeah, everything's in that battle for third. It's all compressed a bit again as the gap opened up between Sean Lee and Ayub. He's managed to get incredibly close. That's a beautiful turn there from Ayub. He'll be in the draft now.
He's a little bit far back, see if he can make this work. He is closing, but running out of road, no, not going to be able to make it happen here.
I think I'm still used to iRacing. Draft's much more powerful there. Ayub has to have him here. Sean Lee weaving about on the straight, trying to break the draft. He might be a little bit too far back. Sean Lee moving around in the braking zone though. I think he just about got away with that.
I don't know, that looked a little bit naughty, but I think maybe he was just, he was off the racing line and then hard on the brakes to try to keep you behind him.
Yeah, he's skirting with the rules, but I think he's just keeping within them. Because it didn't really look like Ayub was close enough to make a move anyway.
Ayub's still making the draft work so well. Well, hard to say if he's the best in the slipstream on the track, but he has spent the most time in the slipstream on the track and is able to keep up with these cars ahead of him, even though he's got the aero wash.
I mean, with the R4s, the extra work that the slipstream gives your tyres will keep the heat in them a bit better. So it's not the end of the world for him. You know, if it was an R3s, I'd be a bit more worried about the slipstream. But yeah, everything spaces back out again after that long middle sector. Ayub is just amazing through that turn 16, through that hairpin. As he's into the pits, nice and easy on the pit entry, beautiful. So yeah, after Sonochki's little spin and pit stop, he's not made up that many positions. He's still behind Roney, although he is closing in on him.
Yeah, and his pace a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we'll get this right. He had pretty good pace, wasn't running near the front and had a few incidents, but was running pretty quickly around West Hill. Not as quick today. The benchmark race lap, we saw Lamberto set the fastest race lap a few laps ago in the 46s. Sanowski running the 48s. So not as quick as we know he can do.
As Ayub and Rando are racing on the pit exit. Oh, that was incredibly close. I guess we could have expected that. But the aero drop really affecting Ayub's exit there.
Kokam and Mew battling again.
I believe these two are teammates from Garage.
You are right.
Of course, they're running different liveries. Oh well, same sponsors but different colors.
Kokam took an interesting line into the wide 180 turn. Is that turn 10?
I think it's turn 11.
Turn 11. That I had not seen anyone else do. He came in really wide, a late entry, and then brought the car down past the apex. Don't know if that's quicker or not. He's the only one I've seen do it.
Well, it was faster than his teammate. Yeah, through that corner you can do multiple different lines. A wider line might be a bit better on the tires, but it won't be as fast.
Yeah, he missed the chicane, missed the curve.
Kokom's
going wide out of this
right
corner.
there.
Yeah, and you should have him here.
Bit of team orders, maybe? I don't know.
You alongside him easily and clears him. And then onto the racing line for the brakes.
Ooh. I think Mir just about got away with that, but Emre Can, who was in second, made a pit stop. Oh,
Mew runs his teammate onto the grass.
Emre Can doesn't know where to go, luckily avoids him.
Yeah, well, that was well done by Kokam to hold the brakes and keep the car down on the inside of the circuit. Oh, he just gets out of the way. Pukic just avoids him. So, that will have done a number on his tires.
Gum Garage wiping each other out. That's not the best. Luckily, seems to have avoided any damage, but, well, damage on his car at least. His tires are bright red.
So that will have made some interesting circumstances for us. That happened just a few seconds ahead of this three-way battle.
And in front of them, we've got, is that Akshay round? Luckily off the racing line there. That was scary there.
Yeah, behind all that, we have Brando and Ayub right behind Jari Katila catching up to the car that had just gone around that we were just talking about. Ayub is all over Jari Katila now. Brando lost a lot of time out of turn 11. Not entirely sure why. He didn't see the car slide. Perhaps it was the aero drop. And I think these guys, Finko has now caught Kokam. Kokam must be struggling on these tires now that he spent so much time going sideways on them.
Yeah, Jari Katila outperforming his qualifying position as he heads into the pits, and so
Kokam
does
in the pit as well. Yeah, Kokam drove the chicane very gingerly and then ducked in.
Yeah, Jari Katila taking it very easy on pit entry because he's run out of fuel.
Oh no!
Jari Katila doesn't make it to the pit lane, he's out of fuel. Or if he can... Oh... Of course, with these F1 cars, they don't have a starter motor, and yeah, Jari Katila rolling to a halt there. That's a big shame. Battle for second or third. Of course, Alexei Lamerto's been in the pits and he's running away. Come out in front of Sean Lee. He's running away with it. But Socrates caught up to Sean, and he's yeah.
Still not quite in the slipstream. It's interesting. We see these cars get what looks like a good exit out of the final corner. Sean Lee has a big slide coming through the first chicane. That might be enough for Doherty to catch up. These guys get a good exit out of the final corner, but then can't quite make the slipstream work going through the first part of the circuit.
It is interesting to note that Dario Sudetch is stranded in the pit lane, and we haven't seen any sort of recovery vehicle. As Pedro Pacanco, who just set the fastest lap, is rounding into the wall. He's got a lot of damage on that car now. That's a big shame. He was catching right up with Sean Lee. So he'll be wanting to make a pit stop there, fix that damage.
Yeah, he's got it going again, but it looks like the car is pretty badly broken. It is. He's struggling to keep control of it.
Yeah, similar thing happened to him last round. He was incredibly fast, great pace, but just pushing a little bit too hard, trying to eke every last little bit of pace out of that car. But yeah, it's crazy to see that Lamberto had such a big gap to Sean in third to get out in front, keep his lead. Because Emre Can, who was in second, made a pit stop, has dropped all the way down to 8th.
Ayub is making his relatively clear racetrack work well for him. He's working through cars that were behind him before his pit stop cycle. Has just got by Bookish into the sweep part of the circuit. Now going through turn 9. He should be able to catch up to Finko here pretty soon. Get by him and continue his charge.
So we've got Sudetch, Redbot, and Falkenberg, Tilo Falkenberg, all battling for 15th place. Redbot getting nice and close to Sudetch, but he'll be affected by the dirty air there, although not so much. He's got a great exit. Sudetch goes wide around the oval. Interesting defense there, maybe not giving in the draft and getting the inside line for the next corner.
That was a good defense by Sudetch, but it's allowed Tilo to catch up to these guys. Redbot not able to make the move stick, but they fall into Tilo's clutches.
Yeah, all pretty similar pace there. I think Redbot made a move on Tilo not too long ago and is trying to make a move on Sudetch, of course, but as we've lost Pedro Picanco, so obviously it's damage to terminal for him to continue.
Redbot's awfully close. Sudetch taking defensive line, even though he may not need to. Will end up staying ahead of Redbot through the first turn. Redbot takes a lot of curb to try to shorten the track as much as he can, and now he's right under the rear
nice draft. I wonder if Redbot's running a lower wing as we see him go to the outside and cut into the inside. Beautiful bait and switch there, but not quite close enough. Can he get him on the exit?
He might be able to. Dario Sudetch had a big slide there. Redbot may have to tuck in behind him. He's looking to the inside, and they'll end up running in line here. Redbot taking an interesting line like Ayub was earlier in order to make the downforce work, though not as well as Ayub can. Ends up falling back to Tilo.
And
so
during all of that, we've had Sean Lee, Doherty, and Najavicius, so our 3 drivers in our top 5 all pit on the same lap there. Doherty with a very, very long stop. I wonder if he's accidentally repaired some damage when he didn't mean to, although I wouldn't say that would take that long. Sean Lee hasn't changed his tyres, but that means his R4s are, well, they're like they're in Antarctica. It's crazy. They're freezing cold.
This cycle of pit stops has been Datafy up into second place. He's going through back markers right now. He's got Kokom right behind him, kind of harassing him into the Boothie chicane. Gives him enough room, and he's able to get through cleanly. Only 11 seconds behind Alex Lamerto.
Redbot to the inside. Interesting that during all of that, Tilo made his way through. So Emre Can gaining on Najavicius and Muir. Interesting name, that Muir. Not really sure if that's how I'm supposed to pronounce it. Muir with a bad exit, and he goes into the pits to deny Emre Can a nice draft down the front straight. Give him a nice clear track.
Ayub and Rando are running together again and catching cars they were chasing earlier.
Comes out the pits, and Emre Can dives to the inside.
Dirty is back up into P6 after his long stop, passes a couple cars in pit lane, and now very aggressively through the first few corners. I think he'll be a little bit sick that he's lost so much time on his pit stop. I think we'll see him charging toward the front. Back marker ahead of him. He should be able to make pretty quick work of Kokam.
Oh, it looks like Roni is timing out of the race. He's got 20 seconds on his timer there, so... yeah, lost
there he
connection
goes.
to Roni. That's a big shame. He scored well in our last race, in the first round.
Dirty's trying to get by Kokam. He's going to do it in the fastest corner on the track. Kokam, quite rude from Kokam, not just giving him the space to get through, but Doherty managed to make it work.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Kokam get a penalty there, because blue flag, I mean, you have to follow it in any race, but in these cars where they have such high downforce and they have a lot of aero drop, you know, you've got to be especially respectful, and that's just not on.
It's not, and I wonder if he'll see a message from the steward soon, because he's got a train of cars coming up behind him. He should have pretty clear blue flags from a bunch of cars that are racing one another. We saw a number make a... There's a car off at turn 10. We didn't see who it was. We saw a number make a pass on the outside, and then they both, he and Sudetch both went around a car that was off in the gravel. Sudetch lost a lot of time to number there, so it may have caught Sudetch out.
Kokam and Ayub almost come together. Kokam really needs to get out of the way here. This is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, we noticed this about a lap ago, that these guys are going to be catching Kokam. Rando gets by him. Kokam lets him through, and in the brakes a little bit early, actually thinks better of it this time by.
But that split up that battle a bit. Ayub's lost a bit of time to Finko. And yep, Sonochki back into the pit lane, so he'll be making a 3-stop. It looks like he might be one of the only drivers to do that. So Lamurto's managed to lap Sonochki, who, yeah, it's happened again. Sonochki's had great pace, great potential, but he's let it go. I was looking at this gap the last lap, and it's really gone down over the course of this last couple minutes. Emre Can has made a lot of time on Sean Lee.
Yeah, and he's right behind him coming around the front stretch now. A little bit far out of the slipstream. Don't know that he'll be able to catch him here, but if he's able to get turn 1 and 2 right, he might be able. Sean Lee takes a defensive line for some reason. He didn't really need to because he was far enough ahead. And Emre Can really aggressive over the curb. Is going to be right behind him coming down.
Yeah, Sean is really struggling with the cold tires. He really should have changed.
Oh, Emre Can gives him the squeeze over to the curb, but both of them through cleanly. Sean Lee had a big slide coming out of the corner there. He's obviously struggling on the tires.
Cut back, but even with the traction control, he's all over the place. As Emre Can is setting brilliant split times.
Behind all this, something has happened to Lucas Finko. He's still on. Don't know if he went off or not, but he's lost a couple positions.
Yeah, his tires are a bit dirty. It looks like he may have gone wide. Let Ayub and Rando through. At least it wasn't any worse than that.
This is working well for Ayub. He's only 5 seconds behind Doherty. He was battling with these guys earlier, making the car work in the slipstream, and now he's ahead of the guys he was fighting earlier. It would be interesting to see if he is in fact on a higher downforce setup, if these guys can catch him on the straights, as he nearly goes into the grass coming out of the 180-degree corner. See if he can catch up to Doherty. Looks like Rando, he may be on a high downforce setup because Rando's caught him a ton coming around the oval.
Did we miss Emre Can getting past Sean Lee, or is that Did we watch that? But yeah, Sean Lee is really dropping back here.
He has. While we were looking back to see Americano Sean Lee, Ayub now defending Rando. Rando was alongside and managed to get alongside coming out of the oval, and now is on all over him coming around the final corner of the circuit. Looked to go wide around the outside. Now in the slipstream, pulls over to the right. Safety car deployed.
Safety car's out. That is for, we've got on the exit of turn 3, that is Number. Although he's managed to cut himself loose. So maybe the safety car's been called a bit early. I mean, it'll back up the whole grid. They can't really recall the safety car, can they? I mean,
well, we saw the safety car deployed, and now they've switched it to virtual safety car.
This is really weird there.
That was about to be a terrible break for Alexi Lamerto, but then they've called it off to a virtual safety car rather than a full safety car.
Yeah, that was a better choice. Lamerto will be looking to get straight past Tilo at the end of this virtual safety car.
It will be interesting to see what happens with Ayub and Rando as well, because it was hard to see while we were following them if Rando had made the pass or not before the safety car was called. This may need a review later, because they were side by side when we saw the safety car deployment notification.
And Rando has lost a lot of time under this. You know, he's a few seconds back now, whereas he was right on his tail.
Yeah, I imagine they've caught a few guys out because we saw the full safety car notification. Everyone would have backed off to leave plenty of space, and then they called it a virtual safety car. So now, whereas he could have been right under the rear wing going around at this pace on the virtual safety car, as we go back to
green. Najavicius has made a mistake, and he's let Sean Lee back past. He's really slidey on those tires. Everyone getting used to
right behind him as well.
The freezing cold tires. Sean Lee runs
Sean
wide
Lee's had a big slide.
Turn 16. This is crazy stuff.
Oh, they're side by side through the chicane. Data Phi is going to try to capitalize on this.
Sean Lee's tires are like black with the cold. It's crazy. He'll be wanting to pitch now, surely.
Data Phi thought about making a pass there, but thinks better of it. He's on the brakes. Sean, just manages to sneak back in line. It looked like we were going to have a three-way collision there, all of them in the brakes and very wisely giving each other some room. But Sean Lee
with a run, but Sean cuts right across his front. That is unbelievable from Sean there. That is really not on. He's just bullying people around as he's round and he's into the gravel.
Yeah, that was awfully impolite from Sean Lee. That was so egregious. It looked like he may not have seen him, but I don't know how he couldn't have, because they were running so close together for so long.
Well, obviously he saw him because he tried to make a move, but it was way too late. Yeah, Sean's really messed this up with his tires. He'll be straight into the pits now, surely.
Oh, Nagavicius just came over the crest there after turn 9 to find Pukish right in front of him going slowly. So something happened with Pukish. Nagavicius gets around him safely, but not without a heart-stopping moment.
And as I was saying, Rando is nowhere near Ayub now. As you see Sean Lee lose even more positions. This is really bad for him. And he runs into the back of Ayub there. This is crazy stuff. We've got a yellow flag up ahead.
Sean Lee obviously frustrated, but
yeah, he's making
kind of taking it out on other drivers.
Exactly, he's making this unbelievably hard for everyone else. He's bullying Ayub around.
Ayub's not going to have any of it. Going to try stay side by side with him through the shade.
Sean Lee,
a little bit of contact
given
there,
no
Sean
room
Lee
there. And he stays out on those ruined tires. This is crazy stuff.
Well, Rando had lost about a second to Ayub, but has let him
Rando
move
go
alongside.
to the inside, yeah.
Ayub putting up a spirited defense, but lets him through. Takes a really nice line through the chicane,
He'll
though.
have a nice
and
draft down the straight, but Rando will have the draft from the back marker in front.
Rando goes defensive, maybe looking for the draft from
nice
Akshay.
inside.
So we had a lot to say about Sean Lee in the last few minutes, but the contrast here is Ayub and Rando really tight racing, but lots of respect, really clean.
Indeed, indeed.
Pukish going awfully slowly. Now more cars catching him. On the last lap, Nagovich just caught him right here coming over the crest. We'll see if he lets these guys through.
We've got Thilo Falkenberg in the pits for the second time, I believe. It'll be another long stop.
A bit more than halfway through the race. I imagine it's a 3-stop for Thilo. So, as we've got to keep an eye on Rando and Ayub right here, because Rando managed to make up some time in the oval. We'll watch them and reset the order. We have Alexi Lamerto out front and Mercan running in second. Nagovich in third. Data Phi, who was running as high as second, now in fourth. Doherty has made up a couple spots after a bad pit stop earlier and has found fifth position. Ayub in sixth, with Rando right behind him in seventh. Sean Lee, having his race has gone wrong the last few laps, now running in eighth position. Lucas Finko behind him, and Redbot rounding out the top 10.
I would love to see the actual surface temperatures of Sean's tires, because they are, from what I can see, they're incredibly cold. And his lap times have gone through the roof. You know, he's not even in the 40s anymore, he's in the 50s. You know, he's setting 51s. The fact that he hasn't pitted is mental, because he could pit now, put a full load of fuel in, put some R3s on, and he'd be set for the finish. But he's staying out, and I don't believe it. Doherty's getting through some lap traffic, and Doherty collides with Josh Gant, trying to get past him under the blue flag. That hasn't worked for him there. That's let Ayub catch up.
While that was happening, Redbot pitted from 10th and came down a couple positions.
So yeah, it looks like the battle, we've seen a battle for the last place in the top 5 in a moment, if Doherty can't get the pace on a bit. Data Phi's done a great job this whole race. I don't quite remember where he qualified, but he's up into the P4. Brilliant stuff from him.
And not much excitement, too. Much like we said about Sean a few weeks ago, Data Phi is running a clean race, more or less by himself.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. You say the name Sean, and he's finally decided to go to the pit lane. So we'll see what he does, and yeah, that is a new set of R3s for him.
Yeah, so we got a call from race control for Pukish to discontinue his race on account of too much damage.
And yeah, we've also got number out, so that's an interesting one. He was the one that, of course, I believe he was the one that caused that little safety car running wide. As we've got Sean rejoining into P10. I wonder if we'll see Sudetch catch up to the back of him, but Sudetch is also struggling with his tyres, so I doubt that.
Well, now Sean's back out after pit stop. Maybe he can settle down, put in some good laps. Did he take, do you know, Adam, did he take R4s? Did he move to R3s?
Yeah, he moved to R3s. I don't think he took that much fuel, but, you know, these F1 cars, they've got crazy pressure on those fuel pumps, so he might have gone to a fuel tank.
Yeah, but we got looking ahead now, we've got Doherty is right behind Ayub. Ayub had gotten past him, and now Rando is going to be right behind Doherty, coming
But
into the
Rando's
first. Oh,
pinned the
Rando
pit lane.
pits.
Cutting it nice and fine on the entry. So that's an interesting one. He'll be going to the end now, as we've got Redbot is timed out. So that's both race green runners are out of this race. Big shame for them. Big loss of points.
Someone has spun at last corner. Josh Gant is off in the grass on the inside, well out of the way.
I wonder
he
what
could
he's
get
doing
going
because
again. He's just stopped.
And we've also got Mia in the gravel, in the grass, going around the final turn. Some weird happenings going on.
All right, well, we'll take a break for a moment. We are on board with Lamerto, just now coming through the first part of the circuit. We'll be hard on the brakes going into this turn and then through the quick part of the circuit. We'll let you follow along with him, and we'll be back in just a moment. All right, back with you as Alexi Lamerto comes into the pits to make another stop. And away he goes. He's pitted for first place. Has a huge gap over Negavicius. Easily retains first as he comes back out onto the track. Alexi Lamerto, just like he did 3 weeks ago, putting on a clinic, came out of the pits with the entire front stretch of a gap over second place Negavicius.
Yeah,
and now just methodically. Oh, go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, he's done a great job again. He's kept it clean. Nothing's really happened to him. He did drop down a bit at the start, but it really has been a clinic.
Looking back, Ayub's still running an impressive race. Nearly collected Kokam, trying to pass the back marker. Kokam still a little bit disrespectful of the blue flags.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We've got Sonochki coming around trying to get past Mir for 9th place. Mir's quite a bit of damage, so this should be fairly easy pickings, but we'll see. Almost looks as if he lets him past.
Yeah, Mir went a little bit deep and then Sonochki just dove it. And as we say that, Mir has gotten a call from race control to pit for repairs.
As behind him, Sagas is coming to the pit lane as well.
Yeah, Mew was slow into the pits because Chagash was pretty far back and then right on top of him as they came through the little chicane on pit lane entry.
I wouldn't be surprised to see oh, he's missed this box, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Sagas out in front of Mew, as Mew has got to repair some damage. But we'll see. Yeah, the fastest lap at the moment is Alexei Lamerto again setting the pace. I wonder if we'll see him get another extra point here for the fastest lap. He's got a 1:46.15.
I believe that would have been third or fourth on the grid.
Yeah.
Awfully quick from him.
Yeah, he's like a second faster than anyone else on the track. It's crazy stuff. Big well done to him. Datafy's slowly been chomping out time from this gap. It was at 2 seconds a few laps ago, but he's been clawing this gap in. It'll be interesting to see if he manages to close up by the end of the race, because we've got another round of pit stops to go, and he'll be needing to change those tyres in the pit stop because they are looking fairly thin. Although so will Najavicius.
He's looking quite a bit closer into the hairpin now. I noticed Datafy and a few other drivers take a pretty tight line using a lot of the curb in the first part of the final chicane. Many drivers avoid it. Does that upset the car badly, Adam? Is it dependent on the setup how well they can ride that curb?
I believe, as in LFS, of course we've got interesting tyre physics, and through some of the curbs around some of the tracks, the tyres interact strangely with...
Oh, yeah, Nagavicius was off. Sorry to interrupt you, Adam. Nagavicius managed to go off like right ahead of Datafy.
Yeah, he's lagging out. This is,
that's too bad for him because he was...
Yeah, oh.
He's kind of coming and going, so it seems like he's having some kind of connection error. Yeah, he's going again, but he's badly damaged. Datafy now really far up the road. That's a shame for Nagavicius because he was running as high as second at one point, was on for a really, really good finish, but now his car is badly damaged.
I mean, if he can nurse at home, yeah, if he can nurse at home, he was due a pit stop anyway, so it might not be the end of the world, but it's not going to be that beautiful second place that we would have wanted.
It's not. That also allowed Emre Khan to get by into third place. Emre Khan trying to chase down Datafy, which he may be able to do. He and Datafy have been running similar laps. Their best lap time is near enough the same. Well, after a string of exciting moments and losing a couple more cars, we can go down the order one more time. We've got Alexei Lamerto out front by what might as well be 100 miles, running another Formula One clinic. Datafy now up to second place, running a quiet and consistent race, getting as close to the front as we could have expected him to. Emre Khan running in third. Nagavicius in fourth. Don't expect that will last because of his off track just a few moments ago. He sustained pretty serious damage. Ayub moving his way up the order now in fifth. Rando in sixth. Doherty in seventh. Sean Lee doing well earlier, but now having fallen back is running in eighth. Snoshki in ninth, and Lucas Finko running in 10th. Right behind Lucas Finko, our friend Tilo Falkenberg, also running a consistent race, might be able to sneak into a top 10.
And just skirting with the track limits there, almost running into the grass. Yeah, Najavicius into the pits. Najavicius makes his way into the pits, repairing that damage, putting some fresh R4s on. So
Yeah, I anticipate this will take Nagavicius some amount of time. That
Yeah, we
puts Ayub up to 4th.
got confirmation that Najavicius BC froze. So yeah, that's a hard one for him. Try to.
And that lets Sean Lee through. Sean Lee and
As
Nagavicius were
we've
fighting
got
earlier.
Doherty stranded in the gravel trap, he might just be able to ease his way out, but we could see another virtual safety car here.
The car, it's barely moving. He might be able to sneak it out of there, but I'd be surprised if this isn't a virtual safety car, if nothing else. He's in a very dangerous position there, right outside a fast corner.
He could probably ease it out of that gravel trap, but as soon as he gets back onto the track, he's going to be onto the racing line. And cars are coming round that blind turn at hundreds of miles an hour.
He's calling for help from the recovery car, but no sign of a recovery car or safety car yet. He's inching his way out of the gravel, and now we have virtual safety
car starting. This would be the perfect time for anyone to make any pit stops. Oh, big shame for Doherty. Just easing it right back out onto the track.
Yep. Ayub notably is coming around on the virtual safety car, was in position to make a pit stop, but decides to stay out.
Yeah, he might be on the his tires will probably make it to the end, so if he's got the fuel. But Akshay uses this chance to dive in the pits, although he's not really fighting for any position there.
Doherty is going again, but that's lost him an entire lap. Emre Khan goes by him.
As we go green again. Yeah. Well, just a lap or two ago, Najavicius was fighting for P2, and now he is about to be lapped by Alexei Lamarto. Big deal there.
Not many close battles on the track, except for right now Chagash and Sudetch. Chagash has gotten by Sudetch and is streaking away. He got him right before the sweeping corners at the bottom of the circuit and has now lost a lot of time
and
with the aero drop.
Behind them, we got Kokon. Wouldn't be surprised if we see him get a penalty after the end of the race, but Sudetch is really struggling with his car there.
Yeah, Kokom's going to force him out wide, even though he's got blue flags all over his screen right now.
On the inside there.
Yeah, oh, that's my mistake. That was for position. I thought Kokom was a lap behind these guys.
But Sudetch will try and take him back up the inside. He's got incredibly cold tires, but if he can still make that work, indeed he can. Kokom kind of let that happen. Didn't put up much of a fight there. And yeah, Kokom not quite in the draft range there, but
as Sudetch got a really good exit, Kokom looked like he had a bit of a slide coming into the chicane.
Yeah, if Sudetch with his tires, he might not be the best through the first chicane. He must be running quite a high downforce setup because Kokom really gained on him in that straight there.
Yeah, he missed the curb on the inside of the chicane there and had a big slide. Kokom able to get inside him and goes by easily. Sudetch may be able, if he gets the draft here, he may be able to make a pass coming down into turn 3. Looks like he's a little bit too far back. Kokom will keep the position.
Yeah, this is great stuff from Thilo Falkenberg. He's up into 9th place. Started all the way back, I believe, around 20th position, and he's kept it clean throughout the whole race. He's incredibly consistent, and he's done a great job there, representing us at Sim Broadcasts. And another good, consistent recovery drive from Sinochki. He started up at the top, and yep, started in P2, and had a couple issues. Believe he was round under the virtual safety car, and he's made his way up to P7. Set some really great times, and yeah, gaining on Sean Lee, but I'm not sure if he's gonna have that gap down.
Seems like he could. Sean Lee.
Najavicius is off at that corner, turn 9.
Yeah,
He's round.
yeah. Tilo went through. Nagavicius has got it back on the circuit right in front of Data Phi and the back marker Josh Gant. And here comes Tilo to take the position.
Tilo, yep. It doesn't look like he's sustained much damage from that. Bit on the rear right, but oh yeah, he's really.
Oh, the rear right of the car is badly broken. The car really it's trying to crab to the left. Yeah, that's a shame for him because he's already been down a pit lane once for repairs after a big incident. Now he's got to do it a second time.
So Tilo up to 8th. Great job from him. Be interesting to see if Najavicius does try and well, run this out with the damage, and if he's not called for a meatball.
Yeah, I can't believe he would. It looks like the car is difficult to drive, but he stays out. He'll go for it.
Yeah, any of that extra time down pit lane, you know, he'll be losing a couple seconds per lap, but you know, it's 20-30 seconds down the pit lane. Probably even longer if he's got damage. So it is around an 8-second lap. Lucas Finko, he's got decent speed. His best lap is 48, but Najavicius bit faster with a working car. But interesting to see how close Finko gets. Abe's kept a nice consistent lap gap, 2-second gap to Rando behind him.
And Rando just did his quickest lap of the race while Ayub is also going quickly. So they are Rando trying really hard to catch Ayub. Oh, in turn 1, Kokam was alongside Chagash and managed to punt him off the road. I didn't see how the two of them got together, but Kokam is through.
Looked to me like Sagash has went wide in the first part of that turn and spun himself on Kokom's front. He's been through the wars, Kokom, but
he has. It's also allowed Sudetch to get through.
Yeah, he's managed to keep the car clean. 5 laps to go.
Alexei Lamerto has just started a lap to put us 5 laps to go. He is. It's hard to say how far ahead he is. He is so far clear of Data Phi. Now Data Phi comes across the line, 16 seconds clear of Data Phi. This looks much like the race 3 weeks ago, but we have Data Phi in Sean Lee's position, where Lamerto has just driven away, and a few drivers put in consistent drives to try to stay with him.
If I'm not wrong in saying, Data Phi has gained a bit on Lamerto over the last 5-10 laps, as we got Tilo in the pits.
Nagavicius has just come off. Yep. So Tilo pitted from 8th, is now out in 10th, so even through his final pit stop, manages to stay in a points-paying position.
And we've got Kokom in the pits as well. So after he gained a couple of positions off Sudetch. And yeah, after the couple of positions he's gained, he'll lose them again. Although we've yet to know if Sudetch and Chagash will pit again. Sudetch, sorry, Datify, keeping it nice and clean. He might have to be careful. Yeah, he's into the pits. Tires incredibly thin there on the front right. More of a safety pit stop than anything there, I think.
Yeah, this will give Emmerich on the position, though. He's coming through the chicane right now. We'll pass him easily on the front stretch. So this will give second place to Emre Khan.
This may be close between Datify and Ayub.
Yeah, Ayub coming through the hairpin now.
I mean, Ayub has got incredibly thin tires as well, but they might squeeze out to the end. But
Rando is close behind, about a second back, so this may also let Rando through. Datify still stopped in pit lane. They're through easily.
And Datify with the new tires, they've got to go through their heat cycle again, so he won't be gaining any time.
Nope, and he's just now come out on the circuit.
So yeah, Rando's closing on an Ayub over the past 10 laps. Really closed that gap down, and this is gonna be a brilliant battle for the last place on the podium. I mean, they've been battling throughout the whole race. Ayub's come out on top most of it. For most of it, but
it'll be interesting to see how well Rando does following Ayub, because we know, or we've guessed that Ayub is on a high downforce setup because he was able to follow in the slipstream so easily early in the race. But now he has Rando behind him. Ayub has the grip and the pace through these high-speed corners, but we'll see if Rando can do the same or not. He's visibly catching now through the fastest parts of the circuit.
Yeah, Ayub will be slower on the straight, so it'll be easier to make a move on him. But yeah, they'll both have to be careful on those tires, because if they make any little lock-up or mistake, we could see punctures.
Rando had a really good exit through the chicane. Ayub went wide on the grass. Doesn't seem to have affected him much. So there's a yellow flag ahead of these guys, a slow car. There's a back marker. Josh Gant just staying out of the way.
Giving
Rando
Rando
use him for
nice
the slipstream.
Yeah.
He'll tuck in behind Ayub here. I don't know if he won't be close enough to make a move. These guys have 2 laps remaining.
As Rando set a beautiful lap there. I think closest that anyone's got to Lamberto's time. Still over half a second slower.
Yeah, he may be the only other one who's in the 46s.
These tires are really coming good for Rando now. Lap 40.
Yeah, it looks like Ayub is struggling now. He went kind of wide through the S's there. Rando looks like the car's working really well for him.
His split time was a couple tenths faster though than Rando's, but maybe that's due to the aero drop.
Yeah, Rando had to make a hint of a lift there through that corner, number 9. Big lift into this long left-hander. He got a good exit. He is easily towing Ayub here down the straightaway to the Boothie chicane.
We've got a back marker in front of them who will hopefully be getting right out of the way. It is Thilo Falkenberg, so I don't expect him to be making any issues.
And he can hear us call it out because he's joined us in the commentary box during this race.
Yeah, that's
he should be well aware.
A little hint towards him. Ayub will be feeling extra pressure, whether that makes him faster or makes him crack. Let's find out as Ayub dips into the 46s as well, so these two trading fastest times. It's brilliant stuff.
Yeah, Rando was really, really good over the curves through the first chicane, gaining a little bit on Ayub here. Thilo very politely, dutifully out of the way in the smartest spot he could on the circuit. Nice and far off the racing line on the right, and then tucks in behind these guys. Ayub a little wide at the apex there. Lets Rando catch up just a slight. Looks like Ayub is sliding a little bit. Are those tires about to go, Adam?
They've both got the exact same tires. It looks like we're running the same temperature, almost exactly same wear, but you know,
Yeah, right.
the tires in this state with LFS's tire physics, this is the fastest the tires will be at this point.
Rando's trying really hard now. He didn't lift through turn 9. Kept his foot on the floor, and then just the faintest lift into a 180. They're catching another back marker.
Yeah, Lucas Finko. Hopefully he gets out of the way quickly. Indeed, goes to the inside, lets them both through.
Yeah, Rando will try to cut underneath him here and lets him through. Nicely done by Lucas Finko.
Although he's late on the brakes, almost wipes out Rando. Had to make a bit of a move to get to jump out of the way there.
Yeah, that will surely draw some scrutiny. That could have ruined the race for this podium.
Come right down to the
position.
wire, the very last lap. Rando will be in Ayub's draft going into turn 4.
Yeah, he needs a good chicane here, which he gets really good over the right-hander and then good over the left-hander, but Ayub just as good. I don't think he'll be able to catch him coming down.
That aero drop making the little difference for Ayub that it needed to, and he's really hanging on with the last grasp here.
Keep an eye on those two. Alexi Lamerto has come through the Boothie chicane and around the back part of the circuit. And down to the hairpin now for the final time. Nice and easy through the hairpin. Through the left-hander of the chicane. Through the right-hander, just missing the bollards on the right side. And easy around the final corner. Alexi Lamerto going to take his second win from as many starts. Does a celebratory weave across the finish line. Alexi Lamerto easily wins the second round of the MRC BF1 League.
Yeah, commanding victory again. A bit shaky at the start, but amazing control over the field.
Yep, Emre Khan now coming through the final chicane. He will easily take P2. We will look back to Ayub and Rando. Rando a little bit closer, but probably not close enough. We'll see if he can make something work into the chicane, see if he can get a good run out on the start-finish straight.
Rando running it wide, he's not going to have it here. Interesting to see that Sonochki, with the fastest lap right at the end there, nicking it off of Lamerto.
Yep, there goes Ayub across the line for third position. A spirited drive by Rando to try to reel him in at the end, but not quite enough. Will come home in fourth position. As Adam said, Sonochki should be coming across the line in fifth position as he snatches the fastest lap of the race.
I mean, my question there is, did Lucas Finko affect the battle for third? Because, as you say, he almost wiped out Rando going into the final hairpin.
I don't know if they made contact. It looked like they just missed. I think he just misjudged his braking point. There we go. Sean Lee actually came around on the same lap as Alexi Lamerto. We thought he had lost a lap, but he comes around in fifth place. That puts Sonochki down to sixth, with Doherty in seventh, Lucas Finko in eighth. Thilo Falkenberg finishes in ninth position, manages to gain one. We were following another battle on the track, so we didn't see where, but comes home in ninth position, one lap behind. Rounding out the top 10, we've got Shagash. In 11th, Dario Sudetch, Kokam in 12th, Mew 13th, Akshay in 14th, and in 15th position, Josh Gant spent a lot of time near the back, saw a lot of blue flags, but managed to stay consistent and to keep the car between the lines, 4 laps back on the leader in 15th position.
Yeah, again, another high attrition rate in this race. Not quite as bad as the last one, but these F1 cars showing to be very hard to tame.
Yeah, clearly a bit of a challenge for a lot of these drivers, but they are, I think it's fair to say that everyone is improving. We had 13 finishers last week. We have 15 today. The drivers now forming up the podium photo at the start-finish line. Emre Khan has pulled into his second position alongside Alexi Lamerto. We'll wait for Ayub to come around for the final podium spot.
Shame there's no champagne.
And there's Ayub pulling alongside Alexi Lamerto and Emre Khan. It looks like he may have had a bit of an off on his cool-down lap. He's crunched the front wing a little bit. The car a bit unattractive for the podium photo, but regardless, a great drive from Ayub to keep Rando behind him. Both of them had to battle through the early and middle part of the race to find a third and fourth position. Well done to them to stay consistent and find a good finish.
Yeah, we didn't really see much of Emre Khan during that races either. Nice second place for him. Kept it clean as well.
And it seems like that's the trend thus far, if you can call it a trend after two races, is that Alexi Lamerto drives away from everybody with his supreme talent. Our second place finisher has a relatively quiet and consistent race, and then there's a lot of excitement behind the top two.
Indeed. I mean, as with any race, if you keep out of trouble, you're going to finish well, but it looks like, especially in these cars, you want to avoid anything. You know, exciting may be good for the stream, but not for your race result.
Now, a bit exciting for them. All right, we will have one interview this week. We didn't have any a few weeks ago. We do have one today. We've got the third place finisher, Ayub, joining us. Ayub, welcome and well done.
Bit of issue with the mic there.
Yep, Ayub's having some trouble with his microphone, so we'll give him a moment while we're waiting for him. We can have another look at some of the upcoming events. We talked about the TBO endurance event that is coming up on December 20th, if I recall correctly. That's a 6-hour race. You can find information on how to join in the NDR subforum on the Live for Speed forums. So we look forward to that. And now we've got Ayub.
Hello, everyone.
Ayub, that was exciting. It was a lot of fun for us to watch. Well done to you to bring it home in third place with Rando hounding you most of the way at the end. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, it was a really fun race, especially at the start. Managed to escape from the chaos. The first couple laps, the dirty air is so massive in those cars. I managed to run R4 so well and managed to catch the 49. It was a really great battle at the start. The middle stint was a little bit boring in trying to push as hard as possible, and at the end it was really close at the end. It was a really great race.
Yeah, the pressure must have been on at the end. Was there how was the tires during that race? It looked like you were well in control through that whole event.
Yeah, the tires at the start, R4s, were not that bad. I did really good laps with R4s, despite they were a bit cold, but the R3s were a lot hotter. I think I lost a lot of time to the guys ahead, and they managed to overcut. But especially with the VSC, I managed to cool them down a little bit, and I pushed from then to the end. It was a really good.
they came good at the end. Yeah, it looked to me like you had a bit of a higher downforce setup than those around you. Was that the case?
I noticed that. I noticed they were a bit quicker on the straight, but a little bit slower on the turns. So I think that was the thing, that I was a bit slow on the straights.
Yeah, we speculated during the race that you must. We guessed you did because you were running. You were running. I think third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. There were four of you running together, and you were noticeably better in the slipstream through the really high speed, high downforce corners. Did you feel pretty comfortable with the setup there? Was it a struggle to keep our car under the control in the slipstream? Because it looked like you had it in hand easily.
Yeah, it was easy right there. Didn't struggle with the grip, just a little bit with the dirty air. I tried to not push so hard to catch the cars and in the turns. It was really bad with dirty air, but well, it was it wasn't that hard to control the cars with the four battling for third, I think, or fourth place.
How do you feel looking ahead to next round? The Fern Bay Black. Quite an interesting combo for these cars.
Yeah, even with Fox, it's really hard. Now BF1 is gonna be a really tricky one. Any small mistake here will end up on the roof, basically. So I will try my hard to survive next one.
Yeah,
Excellent.
it'll be a race of attrition even more than these last couple have been.
Yep, I think it will. Well done to you, Ayub. Thanks
you.
again for joining us. Congratulations on a third place finish. We do have a few more interviews. We're going to bring in MRC Ricky in just a moment. Okay, while we're working on our next interview, we're going to talk about upcoming events. I've already mentioned the TBO endurance event, so please go look at that. Next on the schedule for this series, we have the Grand Prix of Jamaica at FE4. That is on Sunday, the 27th of December. That's Fern Bay Black. For those of you who are familiar with the names of the circuits. That will be at the same time. The event starts at 14 hours 25 UTC. And I believe we have our next interview lined up. Lucas Finko, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, thanks for having me. What a great race, huh?
Yeah, it was exciting for us. How was it for you?
Oh, it was really nice to be competitive. I really got the R3s working really nice, and I was really competitive, so it was really fun to be up in the points, so I'm very happy today.
Yeah, it's you had a very clean race there. You know, you didn't get into much trouble. You kept your car clean. Bit of battling
I did. Go ahead.
Bit of battling going on with Tilo there. How did you find the car in the slipstream?
Oh god, it's a disaster in the slipstream. I mean, I must have had 3 offs. 2 of them were probably slipstream. I saw guys behind me run off in the slipstream. It's just terrible. It's so hard to pass. And it's really crazy when somebody comes to pass you because it's so easy to crash with these cars. So I was amazed that I got through all that. A lot of action. The R4s were absolutely terrible. I switched to the R4s.
Yeah.
I was probably 4 seconds a lap slower. It was just terrible.
Yeah, it looked like
we noticed that. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it looked like we had a load of people have issues with the temperature in the R4s, getting any heat into them.
Yeah, it would have been better to run longer with 2 R3 stints and then have a really short R4 stint. Or it looks like Lamerto got the R2s to work even in the race. So
yeah, a few people got short at the start.
Yeah, I think we could safely call Alexa Lamerto an alien. I think he could make any tire work on this car.
Yeah, he's just awesome. I actually ran faster in the race than I did in quali. I don't know if you guys caught that, but I don't know. I had a tough time in quali too. I tried the R2s and I just couldn't get them to work. They've got the grip. I just couldn't get them to work.
Right.
Yeah.
So we noticed we talked to AU before you joined, and he confirmed that he was running a little bit more downforce. So it seems like there was some variation in the setups. Were you high downforce, low downforce?
Yeah, I was pretty high downforce. I ran a little bit more, a little bit less traction control than some guys, I think, to help me out of the corners. But yeah, it was great. It was a great race. The setup was good. I didn't even do much tuning during the race. Usually I tune, especially with heavy, heavy tank. You usually have to tune the anti-roll bars, but I didn't have to do any of that this race. So I don't know. It's something about this track. This track is really nice to me.
Good. Well done to you. Congratulations on a good finish. A lap back, but you did respectable pace, and you brought it home. A lot of the guys can't say that, so good on you. Well done. Congratulations.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, we've got one more interview coming up in just a moment. One of the organizers, Ricky from the Master Race Car team. We'll have him in just a second. And here he is now. Ricky, the second one of these events. It was very entertaining. It was exciting for Adam and I. There was a lot going on, often enough going on. It was hard for us to keep up with. I think you have to be pretty happy with that.
So first, hello at all. I hope you can hear me.
We can, thank you.
Yes, I think it was a nice race today. A lot of fights. It was a really clear race, especially the start. I was surprised about this.
Yeah, we noticed the start was quite clean. Most everyone got through really cleanly. I think there was one car off, but didn't affect anyone else. One thing we wonder about, maybe you can tell us about the first safety car that popped up a safety car notification and then was reverted to a virtual safety car. What happened there?
First situation, we were thinking about a real safety car. But after a few seconds, we see it was not so hard, and then we say we try with virtual safety car. Was a little irritation, I think. Yes.
And then the second one, it was Doherty, I believe. Adam will correct me if I'm wrong and I've remembered incorrectly. It was Doherty got beached in the gravel and waited a long time. We saw a number of messages from him calling for the rescue car. Did you let him go thinking he could get out and then eventually call a virtual safety car? What happened to finally bring out that virtual safety car?
Looks like we've got a bit of issue with the
Yeah,
with tech going on.
on the second safety car, it's right. Was a little bit confused. We wait a long time. But we say normally virtual safety car is enough for this and no real safety car.
Fair enough.
How are you feeling for the next race? It's for Fern Bay. It's going to be a real challenge during that one.
I think I will watch again the race tomorrow with the other guys for see at next race if we use more safety car or again virtual safety car. It's all time a hard decision to use the right one.
Yeah, because you want to be fair to all the drivers, but you also want a bit of excitement going on, and a safety car where everyone bunches back up, that really creates a bit of excitement.
All right. Ricky, thanks again for joining us, and thanks for organizing this event. It has been a lot of fun for us to call. I hope it's a lot of fun for everyone else to watch. We've got one more interview we'll bring before we round out our broadcast. We have Thilo Falkenberg, our one of our own on the Sim broadcast team. Thilo, you finished 9th. You did well. We talked a little bit about you. We tried to throw you off with commentators' curses, but you shrugged off all comers and drove a good race.
Well, you nearly shrugged off everything. I mean, one of my 2 mistakes this race was broadcasted when I ran wide up the S's. The second one, I was closing into the car in front of me rather quickly towards the end of the race. Then I had to let the battle for third position, I believe, pass. And I caught the guy back up in the final corner, but then I went too ambitious and spun myself. So those were the two mistakes of the race. So I'm very pleased with myself, especially since I'm not the fastest and I'm never going to try even bother with qualifying properly.
Yeah,
I will,
apologies for the foul language there.
Yeah, we'll abide BBC policy here and beg your pardon for Tilo's colorful language. We did admire you. I'm sure you heard us. We admired you for very thoughtfully and carefully moving aside when there were battles coming through. We noted your courtesy when there was a little bit of excitement with other back markers in other parts of the race.
Yeah, there was as you were saying, a bit confusion with the qualifying. You took it fairly easy there, but all for the consistency during the race, keeping it clean, fighting your way through. Very well done.
Well, my view onto the race is, well, if I'm starting way back, I can avoid all the carnage happening in front of me. And this worked out fine. Kagash was spun right in front of me, so I could slip over the green stuff to overtake that issue, and suddenly the rest of the race was rather calm in terms of the actual racing quality. And yeah, it was nice. I had a great battle with Redbot. Too bad that his internet timed out. And I really had fun this round, so it was great.
Good. Are you going to run the next one?
I try to, but it's the third day of Christmas, so...
Yeah, it's Fern Bay as well. It's almost suicide with those chicanes.
All right. Well, thank you, Tilo, for thank you, one, for just listening in to the entire broadcast while you're driving the car. That's an impressive feat to hear all of that and stay between the white lines. Yeah, well done to you. Congratulations on a respectable 9th place, and hopefully we'll see you in a future MRC BF1 event.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. All right, we are almost done here, about to wrap it up. Reminder that the next round of the BF1 League will be on Sunday, the 27th of December. At the same time, the event starts at 14:25 UTC. That will be the Grand Prix of Jamaica from FE4 Fern Bay Black. Also, please tune in on the 20th for the TBO Challenge Endurance Race. You can find more information there on the NDR subforum on the Live for Speed forums. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us here at Sim Broadcasts. On behalf of the team, myself, Adam, thank you to the MRC team for putting on this event. Thank you, all of you who have tuned in to watch, and have a great day. We'll see you later.